Hello and welcome to part 11 of Project Data Analytics. In this part, we will talk about period performance calendars in P6. What are period performance? What are stored period performance? How we need to use them? What are the significance of period performance? And how we can use these period performance in our model which we have created so far. So let's go into P6 and discuss everything about period performance and everything which is not period performance, what it is in P6. So I'm here in P6. Now we will see what is the difference between the normal earned value and period performance earned value. First of all, I will be talking about the single project. Later we will apply all the concepts for the multiple projects for our program and portfolio reportings. So let me just give you a little introduction about period performance. We have financial period calendar. We call it period performance. You can say them, or you can say financial period. They are the same thing. So first we need to understand what is the difference between the older version of P6 and the newer version of P6. So I'm using P6 latest version, which is 20.12. So the difference is that in this version, P6 allow you to basically create as many calendars as you want. So what is this? I will be explaining in a moment. You can delete these calendars, you can create more calendars. At least one calendar should be there. So if you have 10 projects, you can create for each project different calendar, because might be the data date of each project is different, might be the reporting date of each project is different. You are reporting weekly, or you are reporting monthly, or in any different ways you can create the calendars for each project. This is one of the feature in latest version. If you are using the older version before 20.12, you do not have this option. Basically P6 allows you only for to create one calendar, and you have to store all the data in that specific period. Definitely for different projects, but you cannot change the dates. What I'm saying about this, you will be understanding in a moment when I will be creating the batches for these calendars. So first we need to understand the little concept that how P6 differentiate between the financial period calendar and the normal calendar, or you can say how P6 differentiate between these two values. Let me just show you. Here you have earned value. Let's go to the top one. Yeah, it's fine. Earned value, cumulative earned value, it's the same thing. Then we have planned value, then period earned value, and period plan. What is this period? I have used this word period performance or period earned, period plan. So there is a difference between this value and this value, and this concept we need to understand. Once we understand the concept, then we need to see how P6 is basically using them. We will understand these things by looking at these features. Then we will see how we can apply all these concepts in our reports which we have created so far. This one which I'm talking about, until part number 10, we have created everything. We have seen okay how to rectify the errors, how to bring your data here for any project. The last thing is that we need to understand that what is the importance of period performance or period plan value, period earned value, period actual value in our reports. So what happens basically, first of all, let me just show you how you do this thing. This is a project. I have named it man hours. I will give you a concept and give you the reason why I have created that. You can create and make as many as you want. So I'm assuming that you are using the latest version. If you are not using the latest version, then you will not be able to do these things. You will be creating only one calendar, and you have to do this window. If you see financial period for project, this, so you have to do only once, and this is not a good thing for you. That is, P6 is limiting you that you are allowed to do only one financial period calendar. And once you create this, you have many projects, you want to report for cost in different days, and you want to report for man hours in different days. So that's a limitation. But if you are using the latest version, you can create for man hours differently, for cost differently, for different projects, different calendars. That's very easy and helpful. So let's talk about how these things basically works. P6 says that if you want to store or if you want to preserve the true trend of your earned value management, SPI or CPI, schedule variance, if you want to store the exact progress in that specific period, you need to create a batch. You need to create the timeline, you need to create a calendar, and you need to store them in each week. Okay, so the question is that if we do not store, what happens then? I will go in a presentation to explain you that if you do not store your performance in this calendar financial periods, then P6 will definitely do not give you the right trends, right that history of your SPI and CPI schedule variance. So in order to make that, and it is a very very important thing, if you are not having the true trend, you cannot investigate. And we are using earned value for investigation. We are not just reporting. We can investigate earned value management using our this reporting system, that what happened, when happened. We can go into the past, we can go into the future, we can forecast, we can see the descriptive trend analysis, all these things. So if you want to do this, you should have a very accurate data, you should have true trends, so that you understand everything. What does that mean, that true trend? Or to preserve the true trend, you need to use financial period. For example, this point to this point, the progress was X. If you went to this point to now this point, the progress is now, this is X and this is Y. So what P6 will do, P6 automatically distribute this part into as many time period you have. This is the first time period, this is the second time period. It was X here, it was Y here. But when you are standing here, P6 will do X plus Y divided by 2, X plus Y divided by 2. So now this is not an X, but in this period the true progress was X. So in order to preserve the true trend or true value, true figure, you have to store that, okay boss, it was X here, maybe it is Y and WX, whatever is here it was X. I don't want it to be merged with anything. So by default, P6 distribute the value between these values. So if it was X, it was Y, that part, this time period is Z. So what will happen, P6 by default will say X plus Y plus Z divided by 3, X plus Y plus Z divided by 3, X plus Y plus Z divided by 3. So as many time periods you are moving ahead, these are data dates, you know that. As many time periods you are moving ahead, if the activity is open from this point until this point, P6 will divide all the cumulative progress of data date between the start date and the current date. It can be finish date, it can be data date. So the point is that is not going to represent the true trend. If someone asks you that, okay, what was the progress of that activity in its first week, so you do not have the result, because P6 has divided that, distributed them linearly. So in order to keep that value, you have to have the financial period batch assigned, and then you need to store the value. So this is what we are going to do. What is my recommendation in that? First of all, this is very very sensitive thing. You cannot play with that. In P6 you can play with the projects, even they are very complicated. You can make a copy, you can do whatever you want, and then you can change your decision or just discard that project. But in financial period, you have to be very very careful. You have to should have a management approval that what are going to be our reporting dates, when we want to store the data, when we want to change our data date every time. Why I'm saying that these are very important things, you will be looking at when I will be discussing. So first decide that what is your reporting cycle. You want to create the batch after every 4 weeks, means the monthly wise, or you want to store the values every week. You want to see the trend. For example, now you are here. If you want to see the trend on a weekly basis, then you should have a weekly batch. If you want to see the trend just like this is now going to be a monthly trend, November, December, January, then you have to store the batch on the monthly basis. So that's your choice. So that's why I was creating two different calendars. You see here, one for man hour and one for the cost. Why? Because you know that as a cost controller or as a you can say planner, you cannot report your actual cost, your earned cost, all these things, cost control things in weekly basis. Your invoices are generated on monthly basis. At least this is the minimum time period. Your payment certificate, your running bills, they are generated on monthly basis. So there is no point of having or storing the cost related data on weekly basis. You will not be using it. You cannot see the trend of cost on every week. Okay, but man hours are the thing which you can create and you can report on weekly basis. Why? Because the planned man hours, from the start of the project until the end of the project, because you have created a baseline, you have created an S curve for man hours, so planned value at every interval from the start of the project. Earned man hours, at every data date, when you apply actual, you apply the progress, okay, how many man hours you have earned. So you got two entities, you got two parameters, planned hours and the earned hours. The third thing which is going to give you the CPI of the man hours is the actual hours. And how we get the actual hours? We know that we are getting actual hours from our HR, HRMS, human resource management system, or timesheets, and they are basically the attendance of your labor, your staff, whatever you are including in your hours. So attendance is done on daily basis. Attendance can be recorded on daily basis, weekly basis, fortnightly or monthly, but usually you get the reports on weekly basis because you do not update P6 on daily basis. I'm just talking very practical. So your progress is normally on weekly basis in P6, and you report your things, yani cost control related things, on weekly basis for man hours, that how much productivity is being achieved, whether you are losing the man hours or you are gaining the man hours. Maybe your earned hours are 500, but attendance says the people that came at site are 700 man hours, so you have lost 200 hours. So these things you can do on weekly basis. So that's why I have created a man hour different, because I will create a weekly batch here, and for the normal cost related you can create a monthly, because you are going to report earned value on the monthly basis. And this is most why we are doing this, because we want to preserve the true trend, first thing. Secondly, we want to show, yani we want to calculate the CPI on the monthly basis. That's why we have created that. Okay, so there can be a question, if we are going to create on the weekly basis, so it is definitely going to cover monthly data as well, week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. If you add 4 weeks, it's going to be a 1 month. That's true, but the problem is that you never know whether the end of the week or the start of the week will be the end of the month or not. So if you see this situation right now, this is the weekly data. What it says, if you see the example of this May, luckily the first day of the week is actually the first day of the month, 1st April, first this, yani if you see this week. Then, but the problem is that the last day of April is 30th April, which is your reporting date, but the 4th week is actually going to be the 28th April. Whenever you see the number, this is the start week. Whenever you see the number, this is the start of the week. So the week is starting from 1 until 7, 8 until 14, 15 until 21, then from 22 until 28. These are the 4 weeks. The next week is little different. It's only 2 days are coming in April, 29 and 30. The remaining 5 days are coming in the May. So if you store data in this time period, so it has the data of this month and this. So how you are going to report? But you want the data to be precise on 30th of the month. So that's why you will never have the start of the week and the end of the week exactly similar to the end of the month. So for costing, you will report at this point, you will report at this point, you will report at this point. But for man hours, you will report here, here, here. It doesn't matter, because you want weekly man hours. So that's why I'm creating 2 different calendars, for week, for month. And how you need to create? It's a very simple thing. You go to admin financial period, you have created this man hour and cost. Now you need to decide at this point what is going to be. So 4 weeks, I don't want the interval to be 4, I want the interval to be the 1 week. After every 1 week, I want the batch to be created. If you can create, you can add here manually. You create here manually, give the date. It's a lengthy thing. But how your how many weeks you will be creating? Definitely the project duration is the limit, so you will be creating as many weeks we have in the project. So let's say this is the start date of your project, this should be the start date of your project, and this should be the end date of your project. If the project is for 1 year, then you will have 52 batch created here. So let's say 9th October, and I'm just creating for you to show you. I want, let's say, that many days. I'm just doing it roughly. So you can give what is the end period. Maybe it's Saturday, maybe Monday, Sunday, whatever suits to your working days. You can check that. So this is the limit. If I create batch, now you will see all these periods will be created. So now I want to store in these periods. So this is my period, this is my period, this is my period. So it says start date, this is the end date, next will be the start date, end date, next will be the start date. So on these dates, your data date should meet, because when we are making the reports in the project, we know the data date after even 3 years, I know my project is for 5 years, after 3 years I know what will be the data date in the April, because the data date never change unless there is a management related change. So you will be creating these things at the start of the project based on your data dates. You know that 16th October I will run the data date, your progress, then on 23rd you are going to run, 30th you are going to run. So that's a very basic thing. So once you have created that, you can also delete them only if you do not have stored data. If you have data stored here, for example, I will show you how to store. If the data is stored, then you cannot delete it, and there is only one way to delete, to go into the database, otherwise you need to discard that. And if you are using the older version of P6, then you can't even discard, because there is no other calendar option. So in new version there is an option. If this project is calendar is wrong, I will create a new one and I will start doing that. But again, I will say this is a very sensitive thing. It's a contemporaneous effort to store the data. I will explain how to store the data because you don't want to make mistake. There is no second chance. It's just like if the train has gone, it will never come. So you need to be very attentive, proactive, that how you need to utilize this, and they are going to report in a true sense what is the difference between what is your actual trend, what was your actual trend previously. So now you have created the batches, then we will see how you will store. So before that I will just go, that I will explain for that as well. Monthly, you just need to make, let's say, month, every 1 month you will create. So it will create the start of the month and end of the month. So you will give the dates. If your project is 2 years, there will be 24 months. So you will create a batch and then you will store for that separately. How you store that? You will go into the tools and stored period performance. So if you go into this, this is your data date, so you need to store at this point. If you go see my data date, what is my data date? This is my data date. If I change my data date, stored period will be changed as well. It will say, okay, the cumulative progress is until this data date, so you have to store there as well, or you can select from here as well which period you need to store. Okay, so how you will select? You just select that and you can store in this part. You can store. This is a manual thing. It may appear very hectic, but no, it's very simple. Whatever you are doing every week, you are updating your progress, you are putting actual start, actual finish, remaining duration, percent complete. This is a very hectic thing you are doing. The only thing you need to add in your progress is to, whenever you are updating, add these things as well. You need to go here, store the data, just click store, so the data will be stored in the database. So now, even if your activity goes 10 months ahead or 5 months ahead or 2 weeks ahead, whatever, this progress is preserved here. It is not going to change. So now question is that, okay, if I do not store, so what happens then with my activity? So let's go towards a presentation. I have created something to basically try to explain in depth and in very easy way that what is the difference between this planned value, this period planned value, this earned value, and this period earned value. So what is the difference between these two? So let's move into the presentation. So this is week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. One activity that was planned for 4 weeks. So the planned progress is 25 in the first week. So the cumulative planned progress is 25 in the first week. That's pretty simple. Cumulative planned percent for the second week, 25, cumulative becomes 50, then 25, cumulative becomes 75. Fourth week activity is finishing because cumulative is 100. That was the normal planned values. What is the earned progress? So I'm talking about earned progress and the period earned progress. So how they are different from each other, how P6 calculates, and if you do not store, what will happen, how your trend will be disturbed. 5% in the first week. We are not discussing whether we are ahead or behind, because 5 is very small compared to the 25. This is not our discussion here. We are going to focus on what is the difference between the normal earned value and the period performance earned value. So the cumulative earned value become 5. My next period was 35 and total become 40. That's pretty simple. Then 4, cumulative become 44. Then 27, cumulative become 71. So far so good. There is nothing problem. So if we just compare that, at 4 week we planned 100, but we have 0.71 earned value. So we are behind the schedule. As a SPI, it's 0.7 something. So it doesn't matter. So now next week 19, because it slipped the planned value, it's into 5th week. Now it's 90, then it's 10. So the activity goes to 7 weeks. Okay. So P6 earned progress. What is the earned progress in P6? If we normally talk about P6, I mean the earned value. If I talk about period, so it will be period earned value. So P6 earned progress is 5, That's true. But what is after that? Means, do we know what is the progress after that? How P6 is calculating? Because we know that P6 has provided us two different parameters, earn value and period earn value. So we are going to create, or we are going to understand the difference between them. So I will be explaining you what happens if you do not use period performance at week number 1. Okay, as I use the word, it's a contemporaneous effort. You need to understand you are starting at this point. This is your data date. You need to go into past. So if I go into past at week number 1, P6 will report earned progress as 5% because I'm standing here. I'm standing at this point. If I move forward, week number 2, what is your progress at week number 2? Your cumulative progress at week number 2 is 40. Although your period performance was 35 and that period, but your cumulative is 40. So at week number 2, P6 will report that earned value progress as week number 1 20, week number 2 20, because this is 40. So P6 will say 20 and 20. But if you see behind, P6 said when you were standing at this week number 1, P6 said you reported to your boss that the total progress is 5%. But when you went to the week number 2, you reported your boss that the week number 1 is 20, week number 2 is 20. So your boss can ask, okay, you said 5%, now it is 20%, how come? So this is the thing we need to understand. Okay, when you stand at week number 3, that means you are at this point, week number 3. So your cumulative is 44. So P6 will say that report earned value progress, week number 1 14.6, week number 2 14.6, week number 3 14.6, because 44 divided by 3 is 14.6. So now the discrepancy came here, the conflicts are arising. Your boss will say, in the second week you said that the first week was 20, then you said that before that the first week was 5, then now you are saying your first week is 14. So why your first week progress is changing while the first week is past? You are standing at third week, how can this be changed? You are standing at second week, how can this be changed? So this is the basic calculation of P6, that P6 always see the cumulative progress. P6 see what is the start date of this part, this item. The start date is the first week. P6 says where I am standing as per the data date, I am standing at third week. P6 will say, okay, what is the cumulative? Cumulative is 14. P6 will say, okay, 44 divided by 3. This is the portion, this is the contribution of each time period, week 1, week 2, week 3. So if I'm standing now, let's go to the next part, which is week 4. At week 4, when you are standing at 71%, P6 will say week 1 is actually 17.7, next week 2 17, 17, 17. So now if you see, if you have reported 4 times to your management, they will be thinking, what are you doing? You are saying in first week 5%, then you said no, first week 20%, then you said no, first week 14%, then you said 17%. So which one is the true one? What is this happening? Then you reported, this is just the narrative which I said, you reported week 1 5%, then 20%, then 14%, then this is all about week 1. Week 1 is not locked. Your reports are changing, which is not correct in any way. There is no sense of saying, okay, previously it was 5, I made a mistake, it is 20. Then you said, okay, no, it's 14. Then you said, no, it's 17. So which which week 1 progress is true? So the true progress is this one, which we call period performance. That 5, 35, 4, 27, 19 and 10. Even if I'm standing at 90, I know that week number 3 progress is 4. It's not here, it's not 14.6, because 14.6 is the contribution of this plus this. I want to know that whether I'm standing at this point, this point, this point, what is the progress of individual weeks, individual time periods. So that's why it's called period performance. So you need to store that. If I was standing at this point and I had stored 4 here, whether it's 27, 19 or whatever value is here, this will remain 4. P6 will not linear, P6 cannot divide linearly, because you have stored the period, you have stored the performance there. So that's the concept. If you do not store, P6 will see the start date of that activity, P6 will see the cumulative progress of that activity and divide linearly with the time period. So that's the case. That's why you need to store the period performance. So now we have got the concept that what happens if you do not store. So that means if your activity is moving, yani if your activity was not finished here, it moved here, it moved here, so its cumulative is distributed with the time period. If you have daily, if you change your time scale to daily, it will be divided on different ways. If you have weekly, at each week it will be yani changed. For example, if the activity was for 4 week, x yani cumulative progress divided by 4. If it went to 5, cumulative divided by 5. If it went to 10th week, cumulative divided by 10 week. So result is every time going to be changed. So that is not going to give you the true progress. So this is the concept we have understood. So now how we can store that? So it's very simple. But it's very tricky as well. As if it is simple for you, it is tricky for you as well. But if you understand the trick, if you understand the logic behind that, you just need to follow the steps, and every time the result will be fine. First of all, I will tell you that the term I use, it's a contemporaneous effort, means you cannot ignore this week. If you are standing at this week, you cannot say that okay, once I will be there, I will come back and I will just store the values. No. If this is a train, just remember, if the train has departed, you cannot bring back train has gone. So you need to be available every time here to store the values. So the normal procedure, I will discuss the normal procedure. Whether you are importing progress through Excel or you are applying actuals here, you will start the activity, whatever, you will finish the activity, you will put the progress, you will put the whatever value is there. Everything is done. Now you are ready to create, let's say, PDF file to make the PDF and shoot out the report to management. Before doing that, now the difference is that if you are creating the report today is your data date, today is your reporting date, or maybe tomorrow is your reporting date. But the next progress date will be 1 week after or 1 month after, because the next progress will come after 1 week. So it's your choice. You want to store it today or you want to store it next week. Maybe there are few changes, you have stored it and there are changes, then there will be a problem. So the best advice is that if I'm going to make a report as of 31st July, before applying actual, I should store the value before 1 week, 24th. So because I know that on 24th I have sent the report. So until 24th July the actuals are applied. Today I received the progress from site until 31st July. So before applying actual for this, I know that I'm standing at this point. So whatever changes were required, they have made in 3-4 days. So before making the next week's progress, you store the progress of this period, then you proceed here. If you have applied actuals here and then you say, okay, I will change the data date to this and now I can store, because data date can be changed. It's not the right way. You will lose your progress to that period. How? I will show you here. See, I am standing at this point. My data date is 31st July. If I go 1 month behind, before that, just focus on few things. You will understand better. Okay. Now you need to focus in the period. Period earned value is 1222220. Cumulative is also same 1222220. Earned value is 49. Just forget about this. Just focus on this one. If I change the data date, what will happen? Let's say I'm going into the past, 2 months past, 31st May. What will happen? Where is the May? May is behind. Yeah, I will just make it monthly so that it's easy to understand. Okay. Now what happened? You change your data date to end of the May, which is this, and your period performance earned value, which was 12222, it was previously at July, 31st July, now it is here. So how you will store? So the point is that if you change your data date to past in order to store the period performance which you have missed, it will accumulate the progress of July, June as well. Now the progress of July and June also coming here because you change the data date. So the period performance works with the data date. If your data date is 1st January and now you are standing at 1st February, in P6 you can go to 1st January, but in reality you cannot go back into the time. So you need to understand this is what period performance, you cannot go back into time. If you didn't do that time, you lose that. You have just you can say damaged yourself. You need to store the period. So that's why I'm emphasizing a lot on this thing. What is the best practice? If I'm going to make a report of this week, yani from 1st June to 30th June, I need to store the value for 31st May. Okay, so let's assume I have stored. How I will store? I will go into this part. Let's say I have created for 31st May. I will go and I will say that I want to store whatever the progress is here. I want to store for that period. And let's say 31st. Now, basically this is a weekly data, but if it was a monthly, it should be 1st May. It should be 31st May. If I have stored the value here, which I don't want to, because if I click store, then I cannot delete this time period, this scale. I don't want to do that. But if you store here, so that means your progress, cumulative progress is stored until here. So if you have stored in May, definitely you have stored cumulative progress for the April as well. In April, what is the difference between these two? You do not have the progress of May. Once you are updating the April, definitely you must have updated or stored the value of March until 31st March until Feb. So this cycle goes on. So what happens? Cumulative until this, cumulative until this, cumulative until this. So once P6 have stored cumulative for each time period, it will create a difference for you and it will say, okay, this is the period, this is the period, this is the period performance, and that we will use in our this area to create the true S curve. Otherwise, you know that if your activity is going further, x plus y divided by 2, if it is going to z, x plus y plus z divided by 3, so this is the formula. So we want to avoid that. So that's why I'm emphasizing so much that now my data date is 31st May. So my data date in this month is going to be 31st June. So because I'm going to report for the end of the June, I'm standing at, this is the true time, just assume that this is the true time. So before doing anything, now I know that whatever happened in past, management has decided, they are agreed. So just go there, actuals are until 31st, so store that. So this is my point, that if your data date is 31st, so you don't need to store right now. You need to wait for 30th June or the next cycle, so that the previous cycle is agreed upon. Once it is agreed upon, any changes you wanted to make, you have made, now you are focusing on this time period, so then store it. Similar for next. So I will just give you an example the same way which I am doing. This is my data date. So before doing anything, I have stored my period in 31st May. I have stored that. Now I'm allowed to do, I will change the data date. I will put the actuals between 1st to 31st June, 30th June. Then I will not store. I will wait, because maybe there are talks going on, reduce the progress, increase the progress, do this, do that. Once I am at 30th July, then you will store until 30th June. Then I will start applying from 1st July to 31st July. So that is the thing you need to do. So I have explained in detail how you will be doing. So you need to make sure that you do not forget, you do not miss the time period, and you need to create the batch as per your need. If you are making man hours, I will suggest to do for weekly. If you are doing cost, I will suggest, because you can create weekly basis, but your end of the month is not going to be same, because cost will be until 31st May. You may not have 31st May during the weekly time period. So you need to create that. That is the one thing. Now you have understood the concept. The question is that we have spent a lot of time in our training, almost 10 hours, more than 10 hours. We never use this. So are these things, whatever we have created, is correct or not? Are we going to make everything again? We need to create the models and all these things again, or we need to, if you want to correct our report, the data is correct or not? Definitely data is not correct, in a way that if you just brought the earned values or planned values and actual costs direct from here without the period, so definitely they are going to change. I just explained that. So how we can rectify? This is now the beauty of this model, that everything is here. You don't need to change anything. All you need to do is simply go to the reports, which you are used to of doing that. Let's say we will go talk about these reports, and we know that where we find distributed data. Definitely distributed data is here, activity is distributed. You will go in here, modify the report here, and the current one, simply we need to check that, because activity is distributed, so that means we want distributed data. If I do not check that, it becomes fact table. If I click here, it becomes activity distributed. So here, then move forward, column, we don't need to change anything here. It should remain same, nothing from here. Hide subject area, go next. Time scale, your choice, week or month, whatever you are selecting. Interval, from here what you need to do, you need to bring, if you want them here, you can have them. You can see how the P6 is behaving, what is the difference between P6 in earned value cost and the period earned value cost. If you want to have them, you can have them, but If you do not need, just send them back. Now what you need to bring the financial period data here. All the data is available. So what you will bring? You will bring period planned cost, okay. You will bring period earned value cost, okay. You will bring period actual labor unit, because we need that, I know that. You will period actual cost or total cost, you will bring that. You will bring period planned value labor unit, you will bring period earned value labor unit. So there should be 6, 1 2 3 1 2 3 pair of 2, planned value cost, planned value labor, earned value cost and earned value labor, actual labor, actual cost. So there should be 6. Previously they were also 6. So the difference is that if you are every week or every month you are storing your data, so you are preserving the true trend. You are not worried that okay, the trend will be changed or the progress will be changed. So now all you need, simply go forward. You need to change the name. You know that you need to always create the same name. Activities distributed. If I have typed something wrong, so you need to make sure this is the way, this is the name. So that will be done. I'm just not saving that. So what will happen now? Previously there were normal earned value, planned value, but now they have period earned value, planned value. You will simply run the report. Same you will be, I think you don't need to do that because the period performance is for earned value. So you will be doing, if you want to do that, if there is an option, you can go and do for the same for the resource management, or if you are using that. So you will run the report. All you need, simply go here and refresh the data. So once you click refresh, you will see everything will be blank. So there is a reason for that. So what you need to do, you need to go in transform data and you need to make sure everything is okay. So far what we did nothing. Every source is same, all the sources are same. All you need is basically click refresh and the database is changed. What happened? Before that, I will just try to explain you one thing. In the last video I said that whenever you are running or whenever you are refreshing and you know that maybe your project is 1 week delayed or 1 week ahead, so the time scale of the project is changed. If your project was for 365 days and in this week you found that your project is 7 days late, so the project duration becomes 372. So, or if it was 52 weeks, 1 week delay, project duration becomes 53 weeks. So this might give you the error. So we discussed that in last meeting, that this is the only place where you need to open the Excel file and check the week number from the columns. And you go to the here Excel files, and from Excel file you will check the column. You can avoid that. What you need to do, you need to go into the distributed data. We know that distributed data. Click here, go to the source, and then here you see the number of columns 102. We don't know how many number. Let's say the number of columns are here 165. We don't know whether this is correct or not, because maybe you brought a new project, its number of weeks are different, but you try to bring another project in the same template as a copy paste, so definitely the number of weeks are different for the different projects. So how you can verify without opening the Excel thing? Click here, go to the source, and because source is the first step, then go to extreme right, just go, and you need to notice that where is the last week. If I see here, maybe I don't see any week here, that means my week time period is not here until this point. So if I go back, you just need to check very quickly, you can check that. If I go back, okay, that shows my weeks are until this point, somewhere here, or yeah, so that means my week should be 102. So simply just make it 102, that's it. So now what will happen, your things will be correct. Or because if you see the dates ID, your dates are sourced from the resource assignment distribution. So if there is an error in the resource assignment, your dates will be wrong. So let's say if we say that it's 116, so what will happen, you will see there will be an error in the dates, because now after 106 10 columns are extra and there is no data there, there is no date there. So this date, when you unpivot the date, this will create the problem. So let's refresh that. I will just refresh this part as well. See, there is a date. The dates are now giving the error. Why they are giving the error? If you check the resource assignment, why resource assignment? Because dates are referenced by resource assignment distribution. I will go here, I will go to the first step. In fact, let's say okay, yeah, first step, and if I go extreme right, yeah, after 15th December there is no data. So once you unpivot these values, so dates are not, if you unpivot this, 15th December become a date, but if you unpivot this, this is an empty cell. So this empty cell is now going into this part, so that's why it is giving the error. So what you need to do, you always go to the resource and you check here is 106, so my data is 106, and you know the project end date by your project dates, you know that as a contractual date, or whatever the progress, you are mostly familiar with the end dates of the project, so you can verify that from P6. So 106 should be the week, so I will just put it 106. Now you will see this will automatically be correct, this dates column. I just need to refresh, or maybe I don't need to even refresh, it will be corrected. So this is one of the trick you can also use in order to avoid from Excel. You don't want to open Excel and count the columns. See, automatically corrected. That's it. Okay, so that was an extra thing I just wanted to share. But what happens when you bring the period performance in your current model? Because you have already created the model, you have created everything. So now you are bringing period earned value instead of the earned value. So what is happening? All you need to do, come here, refresh all, and then go to these values. If I go here, if I go to the source, now I need to make filter, because previously here was earned value, actual cost, planned value. Now it's a period one. So Power Query didn't find the previous value, so it do not understand what to show. Means it doesn't found that value. So you go to source, just this is actual cost distribution. So period, actual, total cost. That is it. Just show whether the result is here or not. Just show that. Okay, this is the result. Go to the actual labor, go to the source, and you will do only one time whenever you are changing, because from the normal actual cost or normal earned, you are coming to the period ones in the model. This is the one time you will be doing, every time it's not required. So this is actual labor. So the period actual labor, just make the filter. Earned value cost, go to the source quickly. Period earned value cost, earned value labor, source, period earned value labor. And if you do not have the data stored in the value, then definitely you will not get the result. You are going to get a very weird result. Maybe I am going to get weird result, because I never stored, this is a demo project, so I never stored the values in the past period. So I will be getting, some surprises. So planned value labor, period, planned value labor, filtered. So the remaining thing will be same. Simply close and apply. So now you will see here different kind of things. I can't even explain what data I will be getting, but if you are following the true steps, what I am saying, if you are following everything as mentioned in the video, then you will definitely have everything automatically corrected. So now, because if I go to P6 and if I show you the period performance, and if I just show you this project which I just brought, you see the period. Let me just make it more easier. Remove cumulative, earned value, period earned value, planned value, period planned value. Okay, so now if I show you that the project is progressed for 1 2 3 4 months, or actually it is not 4 months, I will show you it is until the end of July. I just change the date. You see there is a distribution, that was a distribution originally. So now, but if you see the period and period, the dates, the data is stored only into this month. So that's why you are not getting the data properly. If you have stored previously, then the data will be accurately coming in the Power BI. So this is one of the reason. So you have to do that, and then you can use the same practice every time, but you need to make sure that you are storing the data, otherwise you are not doing the right thing. So that was it for this video. So, and I hope now it will clear your concept that if the progress are not, if the progress are changing every month or every time period, so this is the way you can control the progress. This is the way you can make the true progress, because if you are investigating, you should know where the problem came. If you are, let's say you drill down to the error, okay, problem came into the February, you need to know actual value, what happened in February, because P6 is never going to give you. P6 is always going to distribute from the start date and the finish date, or from the start date and the data date. P6 will linearly distribute amongst the time period you have selected, week, month, day, whatever. So in order to make a preserved, and in order to preserve the true trend, you have to follow whatever I have said here. So I believe if you are using the latest version, you will have more flexibility to create more financial period for each project 1, project 2, project 3, project 4. So that was for the project. Similar concept is going to be used for the portfolio. All you need is to make sure that all the projects have the same reporting date, end of the month or the start of the month or end of the week. If the weeks are there, the week should be same, but that is not going to happen because one project started 1 year ago, the second project is now, the third project may be starting after 3-4 months, so the time is different. But maybe the reporting cycle is same every Thursday, or whatever day. So that way you can do. But in case the reporting cycle are different, one project Thursday, the other project Monday, the other project let's say Friday. So in that case, what you can do, you can create multiple calendar for project 1, project 2, project 3, and you can say project 4, project 5, project 6. In this project, you can make its on batch monthly or weekly based on that start and finish date or the reporting date. So that's the advantage of having latest version, that you can create multiple financial period calendars to basically facilitate your projects. Remaining things will be same. You will be making sure that the baseline assigned to each project is definitely the correct one. Baseline has assigned because your progress value will be taken from there, and then you need to also make sure that your period values are coming. Okay, one thing more, for earned value, definitely you need the period performance, otherwise you cannot just have a true trend. But for planned value, you can assume, you can take the baseline value because you don't need period planned value. That's one of the things I just came in my mind. What I will say that you can use the same planned value because planned value is your baseline value. Baseline was planned for this week, let's say 20%, 20%, 20%. It is going to be 20%, 20%. It's not going to change. So in my opinion, you can just use the same planned value. Same planned value means the same baseline value which you have. You need to just recall that if I use current value, planned value will be changed. If I use baseline, this is the approved baseline, which is my planned value, which I just explained in my previous videos from this part, that if you use the cumulative baseline, cumulative this, they are the same thing if you have assigned the baseline. So that's, in my opinion, you don't need to change. So what you will do in our current situation, simply go here and distribute it and bring the original planned value, because if you go, this period plan is where, this one, period plan value. So if you bring the true plan value, this is your baseline value, so you can keep that value. Okay, if you understand, okay, my period is correct value, then you can use a period, or you can bring both as well. It's your choice. But if you bring, let's say, another period plan value, this is the period plan, you said, okay, I want to bring the plan value as well, then this value you need to create some filters. Where you will create filter, I will just give you a good quick understanding. You need to go here, you need to make a reference, a new reference to that, and in that reference you will do all the procedure which you have done here, and then you will just remove, make a filter for the new one. Which new one? The new one will be your plan values, the baseline plan value or the period plan value. So you understand the concept. So that what you are going to do. But in my opinion, you need to use the baseline value unless there is a change, because baseline is the one with which you are comparing. So you will be doing these things. So I think it is clear for the portfolio. The only few things, when you are opening multiple projects, let's say we are opening multiple projects, and then you will see 1 2 3 4 we have opened these projects. Okay, so you have created open multiple projects. So now first thing for portfolio is that you need to make sure the assigned baseline for each project is actually the baseline which is approved one, latest approved, whatever the version is there. So here we do not have baseline because we did not assign or create any baseline for this project. So you need to make sure that, let's say if I go for this project, do I have a baseline assigned to that or created? So that means no baseline is created for this. If I go for this project, I will have a baseline because I have created a baseline and assigned a baseline. So that's why I have either the current or this one. So this is approved baseline. So in that case, you need to make sure open these projects separately, bring their baselines, and then make sure all the baselines are there. Once it is done, then simply go into the reports And also check these, you need to update each project individually. Before running the report, you will be definitely updating this project, this project, this project. The principle is same for every project's update in weekly or monthly. You need to store the values. For each project you have stored the values. Now you are running the report. The procedure is same. Now you will go in reports and run the schedule, and the same thing you will be doing in Power Query to filter them. So that was the thing that was needed to explain how to preserve the true trend, because our models are basically made for the trend analysis, forecast, predictive trend and descriptive trend. So it was very important to basically bring into your knowledge how to use the financial periods. So I hope everything is clear, and I hope you can apply these concepts in your projects practically, and it will be very beneficial. So that was very interesting training, I believe, and I tried to explain everything I could. If there are new things, modifications in my part, definitely I will be sharing that. Hopefully see you guys soon sometime with a new video.